Good afternoon, our Facebook friends. I have chosen to come onto Facebook Live this afternoon to share with you about entitlement versus gratitude. Recently, I had this intense awareness that so many areas in my life that I have been functioning from entitlement and rather than gratitude. And for example, in my personal life, entitlement we know brings expectation. Yeah, so I expect my husband to provide me a cup of tea after I've cooked a meal, for example. Yeah, I'm entitled to it because I made the meal. He's my husband. He ought to provide me with a cup of tea. Yeah, that sense of entitlement is the expectation. Yeah, and that creates a different energy for him. Yeah, although he provides me with a cup of tea, but it's not an energy of appreciation, recognition, and gratitude. It's actually an energy of resistance. Yeah, so many areas. For example, here we're staying in Grand Hyatt here in Manila, and you expect the floor to be clean. You expect so many bottles of water every day being there. If the waters are not there, you have a sense of, hang on, they haven't done their service. We've paid our money and they all provided that level of service. So this sense of entitlement, yeah, what that creates, I become aware that it's actually a mental trap because it comes from expectations, from demand, from our own head. So we actually create that mental trap ourselves in our own head, and that making that intensity in that energy actually stops that energy from flowing. There's no reciprocal relationship here. Well, what if I come from gratitude? What if I'm grateful that so many bottles of water are provided today? What if, I'm in a Grab or a taxi, we can call it, that I expect to have a seatbelt? Whereas here in Manila, a lot of Grabs, because they're private cars, and they don't have seatbelt. And it's not compulsory here to wear a seatbelt. So coming from Australia, I love wearing a seatbelt. So I'm in the Grab demanding a seatbelt. And when there's no seatbelt, I immediately have this sense that they haven't provided the right level of service that I'm paying for. Yeah. So I become more and more aware how often I come from that entitlement. Yeah, so I immediately shift the energy now. Hang on, what if that, this is all he's got? What if this is all the car he has based on his level of income? That's all he could afford to offer this Grab or Uber as a means of earning a living. What if that is the case? Then, you have a sense of appreciation of him not having a seatbelt. Yeah. Rather than sitting there begrudging that there ought to be a seatbelt for my own safety, etc. Yeah. So, wow, you have no idea how many areas in my life, especially in the service areas, I noticed that I come from entitlement, that I'm entitled to this, I'm entitled to that. Yeah, and that creates animosity, that creates resentment, that creates resistance. Yeah, it becomes should, have to, must, ought to, etc. Yeah, and so it's very much head driven. Yeah, so having been through this an inspirational weekend, I learned another choice. Instead of entitlement, I can choose gratitude. Yeah, what if I come from appreciation and recognition and being grateful for the bottles of water provided, being grateful for having a Grab to sit in, although it doesn't have a seat belt, but that gratitude will open the energy, will allow the energy flow, and I'm sitting there at ease. Yeah, and it relaxes the driver too, because if I'm angry, I'm tense, I'm resentful, and the driver's not happy, he may just have an accident, you know what I mean? So by me being grateful and being appreciative, not taking it for granted, and coming from their shoes, then I actually relax the Grab driver. Yeah. So gratitude, rather than functioning from entitlement, if we choose gratitude, we come from kindness. We come from open-heartedness. We literally allow that energy to be reciprocal, to flow, to nurture. Yeah. Imagine this world if everyone comes from gratitude, especially employers, for example. I begin to become aware that a lot of employers who never give employees recognition, maybe because they sense that's an entitlement. You get paid, you ought to be working long hours, etc., etc. Yeah. So that is my learning over the last few days. The distinction between entitlement and gratitude. So if what I've shared provides you with any sense of growth or any sense of resonance, any sense of insight, please share. Yeah. So in conclusion, entitlement is a trap. It's a self-trap. Yeah, traps yourself in your expectations. Whereas gratitude is the opposite. It sets you free. It brings you to your heart-centered space. Yeah. So let's embrace the world with infinite gratitude, infinite joy, and infinite ease, and infinite peace, and infinite harmony. Thank you for listening and watching.